All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to my MBA reviews from my MBA from the University of Maryland Global Campus. Today I'm going to be talking about how I graduated from there. You can see my diploma, so I've got it up on the screen here, and how I used tuition assistance through the U.S. military to get my degree for a very small amount of money, about $2,000 out of pocket. It's been a while since I've posted a video. It's been maybe over a year. However, I just wanted to answer the questions I've been getting for an update on the MBA program, and I just wanted to let you all know that I graduated. So to get a little bit more into this program and why I chose this program for myself, I wanted to give you more about my background, give you more information. Because this program might not work for your situation as it worked for mine. Maybe you want to go a different way, maybe it does work. So first of all, I got my Bachelor of Science degree from the U.S. Naval Academy in Chinese, and I got that in 2017. Being a student at the Naval Academy, a midshipman at the Naval Academy, you have to commission in either the U.S. Navy or the Marine Corps. So I commissioned in the U.S. Marine Corps, and I spent 5 years in the Marine Corps. Actually just a little under 5 years. I'm still currently active duty, and I'm on a program called Skill Bridge, which I will talk about in another video sometime. After all my training, I spent the majority of my time stationed in Japan. So I was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and that's where I got my MBA. It was a hybrid online MBA program through UMGC. When I got to my unit in 2018, one of my coworkers was talking to me about how he wished he had utilized tuition assistance, basically free money to get another degree. He wished he had done that when he first showed up. And so I was at a headquarters unit for the first 9 months when I got to Japan, and so I found myself with a lot of extra time at the end of the day, or not, at the end of, after the work day. So I would go back to my housing and just be like, how am I bettering myself right now? You can always read and you can always do whatever, but I knew about this tuition assistance program, and I thought I was probably wasting my time by not participating in it. And I knew, I thought, like many young lieutenants think, that maybe after the Marine Corps I wanted to either be a lawyer or go to business school, get my MBA. So I thought, I'm going to go to the education center, I'm going to look into it. So what I did was I went there and I found that there were 3 different colleges that had degree programs. UMGC was the only one that was on our base, the base that I was on, the Marine Corps base that I was on, that had master's programs. And the 2 master's degrees that they were offering were in leadership studies, which I was not going to get a degree in leadership, and secondly an MBA. So I thought, I know the purpose of an MBA, and it's in my opinion, it's more about the networking and the prestige of the program. But I thought, if I want to get an MBA later, I'm going to go ahead and just check this out now. It's going to be $2,000 cost out of my own pocket. The other, however many $1,000s of it was covered by tuition assistance with the Marine Corps. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Here's a picture of me as a midshipman for some fun. All right, so next I've got some graphics up here showing tuition assistance, the different programs for the different services. So tuition assistance is not your GI Bill. It's a completely separate benefit that we have in the military that if you're not taking advantage of, you probably should be. And you should be if you want an associate's or a bachelor's or a master's degree, or a certificate program like some computer programming certificates or others. And then it might even cover some other programs as well. I'm not super well versed in that, but if you're not using it and you don't have one of those things and you want one, you need to go to your education center as soon as possible and go find out what your options are, because you can utilize it and not touch your GI Bill until you get out. So top left here, we've got the TA MAR admin. That's the Marine Corps version of the tuition assistance program. It's got its own guidelines and regulations on what you need to do to utilize tuition assistance, and then what the restrictions are as well. But there's one for every service. It took a really quick Google search to find it. On the top right, the Air Force, they've got their own information, the Navy, in the Army. Everyone's got their own information on on this program, and you need to reach out and see what your service can do for you, because you're doing stuff for your service. So tuition assistance, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I just want to give you enough information to convince you to go to your education center and reach out about it. However, in general, it provides you $250 per credit hour, and up to $4,500 a year. So what that means is, if your school, like mine, UMGC, when I first went there, starting in 2019, I think January 2019, the MBA program's tuition cost $310 per credit hour. That meant that the Marine Corps was paying the school $250 per credit hour. So if I were taking, I think it was 6 credits at a time, I can't do, don't do math in public, so I'm not going to do that, but it's paying for basically like 3/4 or more of my degree. So I'm paying the extra $60 per credit out of pocket. What that amounted to for the entire program through UMGC was about $2,000 out of pocket. So I thought that was well worth just looking into the program in general. And then if you're getting an associate's or a bachelor's degree, generally these colleges that partner with the military, they will match that $250 per credit hour. So down here, you see I've got UMGC, Troy University, and then Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Those are the 3 that I remember being on our different bases, the Air Force Base and the Marine Corps bases that I was stationed near. So all of these colleges, if I'm not mistaken, offer degree programs that basically match the rate of tuition assistance. So if you are enlisted, you're getting your undergraduate degree for the first time, going to one of these schools and getting your degree for completely free is a good option. They are regionally accredited. They are not prestigious universities. However, they do have good programs in certain disciplines, and if that's what you're looking for, you should go do it. So some things to look out for with tuition assistance. Like I said, there's a certain time requirement for officer enlisted, and then they also care about whether you've had disciplinary action. So for me, I chose to go to University of Maryland Global Campus. The reason was, as an officer, and in the Marine Corps, you cannot use tuition assistance, or you can use tuition assistance up until 2 years before you get out. So I knew that I had a very limited amount of time, because I was planning to get out after my initial 5-year commitment. I knew I had a limited amount of time to take advantage of this benefit. So I got to Japan, I learned about the program and thought, and I had learned about it before, but I thought it was only for enlisted Marines, and so I didn't think I was someone that would be eligible. But when I learned about it, I had basically only a couple of months to get accepted somewhere and enroll and get accepted somewhere and enroll, and then just start and finish my program. So UMGC met that timeline for me. If I had gone somewhere else, I would have paid more out of pocket. So and I think if you're enlisted, you can use it all the way up till a few months before you actually get out of the Marine Corps. So it's different for different people. It's probably different for different services as well. And then disciplinary action, I know that there are some rules, like if you've gotten NJP'd or a DUI, then you have to wait such and such time before you're eligible to use tuition assistance again. So just make sure you're going to your education center. You probably have an education rep in your command. Just talk to them about that. And the benefit of this is that you're not touching your GI Bill. You're getting your degree. You can even get 2 degrees. Say you're enlisted, you have 0 degrees. You just graduated high school, you're at your unit. You've been at your unit for a year or 2. You start taking classes, you get your bachelor's degree after a few years. You re-enlist, you're like, hey, well, can I go get another degree? You can get a master's degree, and you can even get some certifications. So you can get all the way up to a master's, and then if you wanted to get out of the Marine Corps and then use your GI Bill for something else, you have that freedom because you've already gotten your education while you were in the military. So it's just a really powerful tool to use. So I also wanted to cover the fact that this does cover other universities. So you don't have to go to one of these 3 here. These are just the ones that have partnerships with the military. And like I was saying before, they're not always the best schools. Like it's not, this isn't Harvard, this isn't the University of Chicago. Like if you want to go somewhere that is really, really well renowned, you can. You're going to pay more out of pocket probably. However, depending upon your situation, it might be worth it. I'll give you an example of how that'll work. So I was talking to one of my Marines about switching from one of these universities to the University of Pennsylvania. He wanted to get his undergraduate degree in international relations at the University of Pennsylvania. And I can't remember the exact details, but I think we found it online somewhere where if he got his online degree in that, coupled with they have something where they lower their tuition to help with military tuition assistance, it was like maybe $400 and some per credit hour. So yeah, he'll pay a couple $100 per credit hour out of pocket, but maybe going to that university is more in line with his future goals. So it's worth it to him, and it's still offsetting the cost some. Last thing I want to mention on this subject is that every university that accepts the GI Bill should have a military coordinator, a military point of contact that you can reach out to. So what I would do if I were you, and you have specific goals, you want to go to a specific university, is to Google that university, find their military or veterans page, find the point of contact that they have listed there, and email them. Say what your situation is. Say, hi, I'm an active duty Marine, Airman, Sailor, Soldier, etc. I'm stationed here. I am working on applying to this university for this program. Because I'm active duty, I want to take advantage of our tuition assistance program. You could even send them some information about your service-specific one in case they're unfamiliar, and say, does your university have anything where they can match tuition assistance, where they can offset the cost a little bit more, more than the rate that I'm seeing on the website for your full tuition. So that's not always going to work, but it's definitely not going to work if you don't try. So I would go ahead and do that immediately if you have specific goals. Otherwise, these 3 universities are definitely good options. If you're, it's better than not taking advantage of this program at all. All right, and lastly, I just wanted to talk about the value provided by an online and hybrid MBA. So I'm moving away from the tuition assistance topic, even though that goes into my pros, and I just wanted to end it with answering a few of the questions that some people were asking on my previous videos. So I have some pros and cons here, starting with the pros. I did learn. It increased my business knowledge. One of the questions that I had for myself going into this program was, am I interested in being an entrepreneur? Do I want to get an MBA later in life after I've gotten out of the Marine Corps? And do I find this stuff interesting even? And it answered some of those questions for me. I mean, it answered all of those questions really for me. And I think it was an overall positive experience in that regard. Secondly, the professors make the experience. So for UMGC in particular, and for my situation in particular, where I did a hybrid program in Asia, in Japan, the professors were really unique, I think. So the professors actually, for my situation, I was in Okinawa, Japan. They would, maybe one of them would live in Seoul, Korea, and this was before COVID too. Keep that in mind. They had different classes they would teach. Every few weeks they would be traveling from Seoul to Osan Air Force Base in Korea. Then they would go travel to the different bases in mainland Japan. Then they would go travel to Guam. They would travel to Okinawa, and they would teach us in person on the weekends. And we had our class like once a month or so on the weekends, and the rest of it was online. But that was really interesting to me because, and then, so these people are expat Americans that, they're American citizens that have moved abroad, have maybe lived a lot of their life abroad, and conducted their business endeavors abroad. So that was really interesting to get to learn from people who had done international business in Southeast Asia, where there's a lot of, developing nations. Maybe they did their business in Japan, maybe it was China, maybe it was Hong Kong, where it's not as, it's not the business market's not in its infancy as much as it is maybe in Cambodia. But it was really interesting to learn from those kinds of people teaching us. And so I would say that different professors were better than others, provided more value to us as students than others. But it was definitely a unique situation, and I really appreciated that. I also will say that that's not something you can count on for sure. It was surprising to me. A lot of these professors had their MBAs from really prestigious programs like Harvard and Yale. Several of them I remember had it from those two institutions. However, I don't think that's something you can count on because, like I've said in a previous video, the UMGC MBA isn't accredited by the highest accreditation for MBA programs. So getting your MBA at University of Maryland Global Campus, you're not going to graduate and then go one day teach business at Harvard. That's not generally something that happens. I'm sure there's exceptions. But then lastly, I'm just going to keep on the pros until I get to that. But if you need a check in the box master's for a specific job, I mean, you'll get it through this program. Where that comes to mind for me is when I got to my unit, and this is another reason I started it in the first place. I got to my unit and there was an officer that was retiring, and he really wanted this specific job, but one of the requirements for the job was that he have a master's degree. That job specifically was something about grant writing for a society that goes and basically recovers the remains of U.S. war veterans from World War II, from the Vietnam War, from the Korean War. And for some reason, that job had the requirement of having a master's degree, and he didn't have a master's degree. I thought that was silly, and so did he, because you could have a master's degree in systems engineering and qualify for that job, but you're really no more qualified to apply for grants, to be a grant writer, as a person who has a master's degree in system engineering than if you don't have a master's degree in systems engineering, but maybe you do that sort of thing as your hobby anyway. So I thought that was silly, and I watched him maybe miss out on that job just because of this small thing, an administrative thing, really. So I thought, in addition to it providing me more context for what I want to do with my life, it'll also be a fail-safe, a check-in-the-box master's. If I ever want to apply to a job, it's something that it looks better on your resume than having no master's, than having no MBA. So that's it for the pros. I'm going to go into the cons. The cons. UMGC MBA is not as a high-quality program as a prestigious in-person program. So if you're going to go to a prestigious university, or a university that has a prestigious MBA program, those might be two different things, you're going to have different opportunities than you're going to have with an online or hybrid MBA program, really anywhere, not just through UMGC. And that goes into that second bullet down there, which I have kind of covered by my video. But for me, I think that the purpose of an MBA is twofold, and maybe I'm missing something. And if you went to a prestigious university, you can weigh in. But for me, it's twofold. One, it's the knowledge that you're gaining. It's the business knowledge that you're gaining and the people you have access to. And two, it's the networking. It's not just the access to the high quality professors with a lot of experience, real world experience. It's also the networking through the alumni association that you're going to do, and the reputation that your school has. So you go to Wharton, you go to Stanford, you're going to get job offers to go consult with elite consulting firms like BCG or McKinsey. You're going to go be an investment banker at the highest echelons of investment banking. From my UMGC MBA, I don't believe that I'll have those same opportunities. I will say that I haven't tried to get an opportunity like that yet. I'm still a couple months out from getting out of the military, and my aspirations right now aren't to go straight into another job. I'm going to take a little bit of time off, as many people do, and travel and whatnot. But I'll update you on that as time goes on. And I don't think I'm going to try to go be an investment banker or a consultant. But I do want to point out those cons. That's my perception now at the end of this whole experience. And another thing to note is I graduated at the end of 2020, so this is an entire year and a little bit later after graduating. So I have a little bit more perspective now than I did maybe while I was in the program and tired, doing my homework every night, and then going to work in the morning and going on deployments and going on exercises and being really busy. So that's the value that I thought this program provided me. So lastly, if you guys have any questions, just please put them down in the comments and I'll try to answer them. Maybe I'll make a video a little bit more frequently than every other year. But yeah, I really like giving reviews on things. I think it's really important when there aren't reviews that other people talk about their experiences. So if you've gotten a degree from UMGC, make a review out there. When I was doing my research, I couldn't find anything, so I just applied. But yeah, whatever it is that you guys do, just make a review about it or make a blog post about it. Put it out there somewhere. It just helps other people make better decisions for their lives and not waste their time. So I really appreciate your guys' time, and I appreciate you following me on this journey for the past couple of years. I guess stay tuned for what's next.